Good morning, Janis.
Good morning.
Everything's all right?
Yes, we are busy, but everything is fine. And I'm looking forward to the meeting. I have invited my colleagues, and we will have a very informative session.
Very good.
Yes, and yeah, we will shortly also do a deployment to the live site with all the stuff that's been done so far. And yeah, but we will take you through the details.
That's very good. I think the information is what is needed for us to
Yes.
go forward. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I hardly made it to this meeting because it's the subway in Stockholm is not working.
As usual. I'm not from Stockholm, but even I know that everybody is complaining about the subway.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and
Oh.
clear.
I'm surprised.
Are you?
Yesterday it didn't work, so but it's good.
Yes, but today, Berit, everything works.
Yes, we can hear you. I guess we'll wait a minute or two, right, Carl, Torbjörn? Because we have several people on the list who haven't joined yet.
Carl, yeah.
Martin?
I don't think he will join.
Jose? Rosa from Poland?
I don't know. Has Carl joined the meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
I am here. Team Marika is on vacation, I know, so she won't be here.
Okay. So, guys, just give us the go-ahead when you think enough people have joined. This meeting has been set to be recorded already, so the recording will be available afterwards.
He says nothing.
We can go ahead, I think.
Yeah.
We have it recording too, so.
We do have the recording, so I guess we'll start. And yeah, so just a quick intro here. So as you probably remember, we had the Umbraco user forum meeting quite recently, and we discussed a lot of things. And one of the topics that sparked a lot of interest and a lot of questions was accessibility, which is, of course, understandable. And that's why we wanted to follow up with a separate meeting on accessibility, only accessibility. And to help me with that, I have invited my colleagues, Rebecca and Emma, who are designers and experts on accessibility from Awave. And we have prepared a short presentation for you, and we will start with that shortly. And yes, after the meeting, we will follow up with you on what comes next and how to proceed further. And I guess, Emma, that we can start. You can start sharing, and then we can start with the presentation.
Yes. Everybody
Yes.
sees? Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically we want to just give you an overview of our current status when it comes to the accessibility fixes and improvements that we have been doing and what the actions are moving forward. And of course, there will be a Q&A section at the end. So yeah, we will start. The agenda is, first of all, we will just mention the accessibility audit, which was done last year, a while ago. And then Emma will talk a bit about directives and laws. And then we have a point on images, which is something that came up previously when we had the meeting. So we need to get into more detail on that. Then we will talk about accessibility testing, so how you can actually test the site if it meets the standards, and there are tools that you can use for free to let you see whether it's accessible or not, and then the QA section at the end. Right. So the accessibility audit, perhaps not everybody, but some of you are aware of the fact that we already did an accessibility audit last year in November. And the audit, for the audit, we selected the Norlandia preschool site, norlandiaforskolar.se. And the audit revealed a number of points that needed to be fixed or improved, which was to be expected. And so far and based on the audit, of course, we created a bunch of tasks in our issue tracking system, and we have been working on the highest priority tasks up until now. And we have already fixed several issues, so you can see what's been fixed exactly. So one of the main issues that came up in the audit was the issue with ARIA labels, which were either missing or misplaced or used incorrectly. So we have fixed those. And then it's improved focus state, which is when you focus on an element. For example, you tab through the page and then there's a focus displayed on it, which is very important for accessibility. And the next point is related to that, which is keyboard navigation. So basically you should be able to navigate the whole site without the mouse. So for a site to be accessible, you need to be able to get through everything, submit all the forms, check all the boxes, and get to all the elements so that you don't skip things and that you don't miss things when you tab on them, that you see what is focused and what you are actually on at that time. And lastly, there's the video accessibility. And for that, this is one of the changes, one of the few ones actually that makes a visual difference on the site. It's not a big difference, but for example, on frasunda.se, you have a video on the start page, right? If you scroll down a little bit, you will see the video that some of you might be familiar with. And the only thing that we have done is we have added controls on it, which will let you stop the video and do some other changes like volume and so on. So yeah, basically we have added those. And of course, they're also accessible that you can tab through those elements and get to the next part. So all of this is currently on the test site, and we will all deploy that live later this week, very soon. Probably today or tomorrow. We might be going out with all of that, and then you will be able to verify this on the live site as well. And one more part that we will deploy today is something that will come up later on the presentation, but it's related to the image, to the handling of images, but I'll save that for the slide where we have images. And of course, we will continue to fix the rest of the issues that came up in the audit. Yeah, so here you can see examples of upcoming fixes. Oh yeah, Carl?
I don't know if everybody knows it. I don't know it, what an ARIA label is, and I was just wondering if it's something that we have to be aware of doing actively ourselves in the future, or is it just something that's kind of technically related to different elements and so on?
Most of the changes that we are doing are sort of in the background where you don't need to do anything, and this is one of them, and there's nothing that you need to do. So basically, this is something that we need to fix in the code to make it accessible to devices that are, different from the keyboard and mouse that you are used to. So nothing for you to do with that. And that's why I mentioned that the video accessibility change is the only one that sort of creates something visual that you can see, if you notice that. But most of the accessibility changes are actually in the background that you will never see. But some are a bit different. Yeah. Does that answer the question? Hopefully.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, and here are 2 examples of upcoming fixes. So one, and that's not going to be released today. So one of the issues that came up in the audit and that the automated tools are picking up as well is that there is insufficient contrast on some of the elements. And it's prominent on the navigation menu. And this is just one example of the preschool site. I think it's from the test server. But regardless, it's the issue is there on most pages. Even if you have a different color, then we still have that issue. And here is where we will get back to you with a suggested color to use on the menu, so that we don't change something that's very prominent on the site without checking with you first. So this is again going to be one of the changes that will make a difference. But there's not much input needed from you, but you should see it and say yes or no to it before we do it. And of course, we will do it on the test site first. Maybe we will need to change some of the font size, or maybe we will need to, do black text instead of white text or something like that. But that's coming up. That's coming up a little later. And what's coming up very soon is, as I mentioned before, the description field for images. So we will get to images in a more detailed slide later on, but basically we will add one more field to the Umbraco back office where you have images, and for those images that are meaningful, as in not decorative, but that carry some sort of meaning, they should have a description. And you will be able to write that description for those images that have that, but we will get more into that. It's just that we need to include this in the deployment to make it possible for you to write the descriptions. That is what's important. And afterwards, so right now we are creating the field where you can write it in, but afterwards we also need to do some more fixes to make that description populate on the site, but that's more of a technical nature, that nothing for you to worry about. So I think we can take the next one. Yes, and I guess Emma, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So there will be some content updates for you to do to improve the accessibility. And we will provide you with all the issues that we found in the audit, so you can explain how you're going to do this in the content. But we didn't do it. We didn't do it today, but we will send you the list afterwards. But one thing that's missing on the site, and I think Janice mentioned it before, is that you need to have an accessibility statement. So I just picked an example from another preschool. It's just a page where you state all the accessibility issues that are left, or how you worked with the accessibility and how you comply with the law. So you need this information on your page. It's in the law, at least in the Swedish law, and we can help you with this because there's some text that needs to be in a certain way, and some text that is more free to write, for you to write. But we will help you with this. Yes, and I will speak a bit about the directives and laws and make some clarifications. We have 2 EU directives that concerns accessibility. We have the Web Accessibility Directive, which was adopted in EU in 2016. And this became the Swedish law called DOS-lagen. And this directive and law is mainly affects the public sector or companies with public funds, which you are, Norrlandia and Frösunda. So you will have to follow this law, the DOS-lagen. And then we have the other one, which will be a new Swedish law in June 2025. But this doesn't concern you because this is more private sector, and it's transport, banking, e-books and e-readings, and yeah. So you need to follow this DOS-lagen in Sweden and the Web Accessibility Directive. But all both of the directives are based on the requirements from the WCAG 2.1 AA. And in the audit, we follow the requirements from the 2.2 AA, and that will be implemented in the law further on. So we already checked those requirements. Yes. Any questions about the law?
I have a question. Of course, everybody else is outside of Sweden. So how is that the WCAG law? Is that is that an EU directive, or is it just Swedish? Or
no, the directives are EU directives, so all the country needs to follow the directives, but all the countries made their own laws from the directive. But the directive is basically WCAG 2.1 AA. So I would guess that the other countries have the same requirements as in Sweden, but we can check that up. We need to read the laws and to check it up. The only thing I know differ in the Swedish, or is it especially in the Swedish law, is the accessibility statement. So we can check if that's needed on the other sites.
Okay.
Yeah. Move on. Yes, accessibility testing. So accessibility is an ongoing process. So we need to work with it continuously. And we can, of course, assist you with the content updates, as I mentioned, to improve the accessibility. But if you want to try to test accessibility on your own, we listed some free extensions. So we have the ARC toolkit and Wave, Site Improve and Axe. These are all quite the same free extensions that you can have in Chrome or Firefox. Yeah, these extensions will need some knowledge from you to the WCAG, because they list the requirements. So you need to have some knowledge about them. And it's important to say that automated testing is only finding around 30 to 50%. So it's important to test as we do with screen reader and manually go through the site as well. So that's why we made an audit to cover all the requirements. I can give you an example of images. If you have an image with alt text, the automated tools can approve that they have the image have alt text, but the quality of the text can be very bad. So that is what you have to test manually. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah, one question. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Like, how will this work in the future? So you did the audit now, you came with like a bunch of bullets that need to be improved, you're implementing it, and then there's a lot of things that we have to demand in on our end. But once that is done, how will it look in the future? Because now it sounds like you want us per country to keep an eye on accessibility. But as you say yourself, Emma, like the WCAG or however you call it, like I've read about it before in my old work, but it's like basically non-understandable for a person like me. So it feels like that's a task that maybe should not be put on like me for Norranda Preschool Sweden and Jessica for Frasunda in Sweden.
No. So you can make the content updates, but we'll have to speak to Janice about it. But I think for other customers, we have some hours per month, for example, where we check the accessibility and always make sure that it's the requirements are fulfilled, and so.
I mean, I guess that's like a question of like if there's budget on our end, but it feels like if that's like an EU directive and it's written down in law, then it should not be like put onto like idiots like me to keep an eye on that. No. So maybe you should, like Torbjörn and Carl, maybe you should. I guess you have that discussion already, but just a reminder about that.
Yeah, Janice, maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, so to your first part of the question, Andy, about the future. So one thing is that right now we are doing the fixes, and as I said, we will soon do a deployment of the first batch, and afterwards we will show you and tell you what you need to change in the content. So what you will need to do is going to be very clear, because we will tell you exactly what you need to change. So you do not need to understand what an ARIA label is per se, or for you it's not that is not your part, so that will anyway be on our table to basically fix all the technical issues. The only place where we need some help is content, and in that of course we will tell you exactly what you need to do. But when it comes to these extensions, it's like, it's a developer tool, and if you want to learn how to use it, then we can show you, and it shows, you don't even need to go into all the details. Even if you see that it's bringing up some sort of errors, the simple thing that you can do is you can send that to us and say, hey, we found something here, can you please look into it? Similar to like page speed. If you do a Google page speed test, everybody can do those. It's free and very easy, but it doesn't mean that you need to understand all the points that it lists, but it says, my mobile score is like 42. Can the developers please look into it? So this is sort of similar in nature, I would say.
Yeah, but I just meant it should be clear, like if we are expected to continuously like run tests in the future.
No, you are not expected to continuously run tests in the future. So that will need to be on us, to some degree. And I know, Torbjörn, you had your hand up, so please.
Yeah, I think we should ask a way to help us with that, as we do with SEO and everything else. I think it should be in a thing that we do every once in a while, and we have opportunities here because we have a multi-site. So the basic code is actually the same for all of us, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Janis, but that helps us a lot. So we can actually centralize the accessibility checks, or what you call it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. And as I mentioned before, we use the Norlandia preschool site for the audit. And of course, there is some, Swedish specific content there, which might not be there on the Norwegian sites and so on. But still, the underlying principles apply, and the missing ARIA labels and so on, the tab navigation, it's the same across the whole site. So once we fix it, then it should work everywhere. And if there are some special cases on some of the domains, then we can pick those up. But yeah.
Should we move on?
Yes.
Any more questions?
Yes, we will also talk a little bit about images and how to handle them. According to WCAG, there are like two types of images, decorative and meaningful images. And the decorative images are more like images that doesn't provide any additional information to the user, but are more there to be decorative, to be something to lean your eyes on, while meaningful images are more images that are informative, that contain some kind of content that are important to the user. It could be like statistics, a map, or in this case, it might be images of, for example, a preschool building or something. And the meaningful images should be provided with an alt text. The decorative images should not, because it might be too much information for users using assistive technology, like for example screen readers, if there are alt texts on all images. So you are not supposed to put alt text on all images. It's just the meaningful images that need the alt texts. And this can be like a bit tricky to decide what images that should be considered decorative and which are informative or meaningful. So yeah, it kind of takes, it requires that you go like image by image and decides whether this image contains any meaningful information to the user or if it doesn't. Yeah, so as I mentioned, the decorative images don't add any information to the content of the page. For example, it can be an image of something that is already like existing in the text that is close to the image, or yeah, it could be something that is just like visually, just a visual image. And in this case, all of those images should have an alt text tag, and this is like a little code snippet that is also just made in the background. It doesn't show any changes on the site, but we will make sure that all images have an alt tag, and then like we can also help to decide which images are meaningful and which images are not, so that we can write good alt texts that are like reasonable for all those images. Yes, Jessica, do you have a question? I think you're muted.
Sorry. So if we have slideshows, how do we like provide the alt text? Because we are using a lot of those in Frasenda. Where do we put in the alt text?
You mean like a slideshow doc with like several images that you can like rotate?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we provide alt text for each image. So there will be like an alt tag on each image. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that it's a slider, that specific part should not really make a difference, because it's about the image having the description rather than whether it's a slider or whatever it is. But maybe I can just quickly take over the share, and maybe and then afterwards, Emmy, you can share again, because this is the part that I mentioned before. So what's going to change after we do the next deployment to the live site? You know, you have the Umbraco back office. I'm sure that you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And what will change is whenever you see that there is an image that is meaningful, or that it's not just decorative, but that it carries some meaning, and you need to provide the description for it, you will be able to click on it and open it in media library, and then you will see the description field. And then whenever this image is used on the sites, then this description will be picked up from here. So you will be able to write it in here. So it doesn't matter if it's in a slider or wherever it is. The question is whether this image is meaningful or whether it's decorative. That is the most important question. Andy, you're on mute.
Only idiots in the meeting here. Sorry. One question and one comment. So do I understand correctly that every picture needs to have an alt tag, but that you by
Yes.
default just will like add an empty alt tag?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then so that's the question. Then the comment. I'm not sure how I'm looking specifically at Jessica and Julia, because we were a little bit worried about all the pictures. But to me, this seems quite straightforward and much easier than I thought, because I think
Yes.
an easy test for each picture would be, can I exchange that picture without it impacting anything on the page? Because like on the preschool pages, we have a lot of pictures, but they're mainly to like visually improve the site. It's always like text and then a picture
Exactly.
besides it. But I can basically just like switch out most of the picture. I can just easily like switch them out without anybody noticing. And then I guess that means that picture doesn't need like an alt text.
Correct. So that is exactly the point. And this is one of the main concerns that came up in the previous meeting, where I got the feeling that you want to add alt text manually to thousands of images across the sites, but this is not required. It's not needed, and it's not even advisable to do that either. So the only thing that you need to do is to decide which images are actually meaningful. And you are not selling products on your site that most of the images are decorative. But as well, we had a discussion internally, and we thought that maybe some of the images of what the building looks like, and whether you want to send your kid to this preschool if it looks like this or that, maybe that is meaningful and you want to describe that, so that might be a case. But it's up to you. Jessica, you are on mute.
Oh my God. Sorry. Yeah, I know it's not needed, but as I said during the last meeting, we work with people with disability in Fraseda, which is, of course, we need to be on top and so should we not describe a bit more pictures maybe than preschool, or like, I don't want anyone to go into our page and be like, oh, okay, so they only have one picture that I can see, because we have a lot of people with special needs.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, as Janis mentioned, it's not really advised that you should put alt text to all images, because it might be like too much redundant information, since a lot of the images that are decorative doesn't provide any additional information to the user, so that they will get the information by reading the text or by other elements. And just having like descriptions of images that doesn't provide anything might just be like disturbing while they are interacting with the site.
Yeah, because it mostly, if you have a screen reader and it reads all the picture, and it's maybe like three persons, it's hard to describe the images with, if you only have persons on the images, and so it's mostly disturbing more than meaningful to people with disability.
But that's strange, because I have friends that are visual. They have like they're blind or almost blind, and all like photos they post on Facebook and social media always have like a long description, like I'm sitting in front of a blue sky, I'm wearing I'm sitting in my black wheelchair, I have a flower dress on, and you can see a dog in the background. Like they have really long description, so they can't see the picture, and of course they want some information. And I understand it's different from the web page, but also a lot of photos, I think a lot of our photos add something, otherwise I wouldn't have them on the website. Not just like, they can show competence, they can show affection, they can show the environment. Like, otherwise I could just leave the page blank from photos, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's tricky, and it's not like you have to make a judgment, because it's a law which describes that decorative images shouldn't have the alt text. So it's yeah, you have to make a judgment. It's not quite easy to say yes or no, these pictures should have or should not.
Yeah, so we can recommend what is
Yeah.
what you should do according to law, and as I said, the description field will be available to all pictures, and by the way, also videos. So of course you can put text there, and it's up to you, you know, to decide which images are meaningful. But we are just basically trying to help make the website accessible by law or compliant with the accessibility regulations.
Yeah. Okay. So then for videos, we need to have them always texted. I think I read. But do we have to provide the text on the video in a certain way?
Yeah,
like,
but
for example, if we interview a coworker or a parent or whatever.
You should have captions on that video. Yes.
Yeah.
There should be captions so that the spoken text is written down. But most of the videos are actually without sound. So, but there of course will be some cases, you know, or there might be some cases where you have videos with sound, and in those cases it should be captioned. Yeah.
Okay, but if we already have a caption, then they're fine, all set.
By caption, you mean that the spoken text is also written down in captions, closed captions. If yes, then it's okay.
Subtitles, you mean, Jessica, right?
Yeah.
Subtitles. So
yes.
Probably we need to look at specific examples and where you have videos like that. But as long as it has captions, it should be fine. And then, of course, it needs to have the controls to be able to stop the video, pause it, and switch the sound on and off. And that's something that we have added, well, at least to the videos that are embedded. So it depends on, are you talking about YouTube videos or some external source or?
YouTube mainly, like we have the link or whatever. Like on Fassenda we have plenty, and I know Andy has plenty on Preschool Sweden as well.
Yeah, so this is good to know, and it's I think it's good if you email me all the links, email them to us, and we can verify those.
Like the site or just the YouTube link?
The link to the site where the video is featured, to the exact URL.
And one more thing, you need to think about alt text because it shouldn't be more than 125 characters.
Yeah, exactly.
It
so
should be short.
It should be short and to the point. So what you were saying about, you know, the blue sky and all that. So that's I understand in the context that you are referring to, that makes sense. But in this case, you should not overdo it either. So overdoing can actually be bad in some ways.
But it's good to know 125 because I didn't know that. So that's good. Thank you.
That sounds like a task for ChatGPT.
Yeah, but actually that is a very good point, because ChatGPT can be very helpful in providing this for you. So yeah.
Yeah, I will share again.
And Janice, for the batches that we have on photos, like this unit is opening soon, coming, and blah, blah, blah. Have you developed something for that, or do you have any suggestions? Because that we use also in Sweden a lot for upcoming units.
You mean the labels on the cards on the map that we discussed as potentially upcoming features?
If you go to Fassenda personal assistant site, like on the hero, we have a lot of batches also on the map where you see the little picture. We have if it's like opening soon, or
you have an overlay over the pictures, like a circle with information, like with numbers. You also have that for like surveys, for example. You put the like satisfaction rate on like into the picture itself.
I think it's better if you share the screen and show us which ones you are referring to exactly, because I'm looking at that, but I'm not sure.
Text is incorporated in the image.
Yeah.
It's a picture of the text.
Yeah, so that actually was one of the points on the audit, and I think that Emma, we will follow up on that separately, where we might need to change that, but I guess we just need to put that on the alt text, and probably that's sufficient, but we can follow up with that. But you can send, as I said, send me the links to the videos or the pages where you have the videos and these images with text as well, so we can verify. So these are specific cases where we need to look into how to handle them.
Because the batches we have on a lot of heroes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good point. If you have them on a lot of places, then we should include that.
So you want us to send a link for all the sites? Or?
No, not all the sites, just a couple of examples, and okay. That will be enough.
I also think we have some examples in the audit, because I think it was one of the points from the audit. So,
and if we can't have it like that, we would like to have some kind of batch or something that's readable, just so that we could click we want a batch and then write what's going to be in the batch, because it's very useful for upcoming units and survey results and so on.
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Just hijacking this, because I think that's actually an important question, and I think it maybe should not be handled between Jessica and you, Janis, via mail, because it might be interesting for everybody. Can we just take 2 seconds and actually look at an example? And
yeah, I think so too. So if you could share the screen and show us what you're referring to exactly, then we can.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Frasunda has this, because that's like from a survey. So it's like satisfaction rate, like 9 out of 10 are happy, whatever. And Frasunda uses this a lot just as a communication tool. And we have that, for example, in preschools. We have that sometimes when we're going to open a new unit, a new preschool. We have that also in the hero picture. Then it says like we will open like March 2026 or something.
And you will also see it in the map, like it's also on the little map image, like opening soon. Now we don't have any number. We don't have that in. I don't know if you have for preschool that you can show, but we don't. I don't have any.
But it's the same, so it's also like an overlay, like directly in the pictures. So I think the question in general would be, is this allowed in the future to have like information in the picture? Yes or no? That's the first question. Like, are we still allowed to do that? And if we are allowed to do that, just via like have text as an overlay on the picture, is there anything that we have to consider, like be super specific in the like alt text, for example, that the picture describes like smiling, and then also text on the picture saying 9 out of 10 are happy with Frasunda? Do you understand what the question is that I'm trying to?
Yeah, you shouldn't have images with text, but I guess we can make like a block with real text, so the screen reader can read the text in the circle. But you should avoid images with text, because screen readers can't read that text.
Even and then we need a development for that, because that's very, very important for us. Yeah. Like it's crucial, I would say.
But I think alt text in this case should be like solution, because you can put these like numbers in alt text. You don't need smile woman, but you need this text what you are having in this circle, like 9 of 10 something.
Yeah, 9 out of 10
would be a good
happy.
solution for image, because you have information and screen readers can read this information by your alt text. I don't know.
Yeah, and you can start providing the alt texts in the description after we deploy the changes, which will be soon coming in the coming days.
Yeah, for this example with the small text, it might be fine, I guess, but not avoid in the future to have a lot of text in the pictures, because that's not, I wouldn't say that's the normal way for screen readers to handle images with text.
Yeah, so then probably.
But then since we add it like all the time, because we have units coming up and so on, and the new survey results, is it better to develop a batch? That's my question.
I think so.
Yeah, I would also say it is, because I think I have seen some example with that badge. I think it was on Norlandia Förskolor, where the badge is like placed on the side of the image. So when the image crops, for example, on mobiles, half of the badge wasn't visible. So it might also have other, there might also be other problems with using images or text on images. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and you can all, if we make it into a block or something, we can add maybe an ARIA label explaining what kind of block this is, so it's getting clearer for people with screen readers. Yeah.
Yeah, so moving forward, this should be developed into basically a new type of hero section where you can type in what needs to be displayed. And of course, we need to design it in a way that, looks nice and that it's scalable on mobile devices as well. But for now, you can start with the alt text because, at least we will have that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And make sure to add the little picture, just the hero, because we want it to be seen in the map also.
If we look at the picture again, it looks like the contrast is a bit maybe too weak. I think so. Maybe we need to do something about that.
Yeah, well, that's on the picture. So, I mean, then you need a different picture. We can't change the picture. What we can do is when we design and develop the block, when it becomes a block, then of course, we will use colors that will contrast very well and that will match the standard. But when you upload images and text on images, it's hard for us to, control or see which images have a very good contrast and which don't, because to the software that uses that tests it, it's just an image. They don't see it. It's just visually we can see that, yeah, the contrast doesn't, look perfect.
Yeah. But we can also discuss maybe like we don't need a circle for the opening
exactly.
soon. Maybe we can just have like something in the corner, but I think we need to develop it at least.
Well, we probably need to develop that, but that would be sort of like a separate task to design and develop that to match your needs, basically.
But Carl, can you please keep it in mind since Torbjörn is not here anymore? Perfect, thank you.
He's writing it down. He's writing it down. Yeah, but these are very good points. Thank you for the questions, and this is exactly what we need to see specific examples and where we might have some, challenges that we cannot just simply fix by code.
Yes, I think the presentation is going to its end.
Yeah, these are just some examples of what could be considered as decorative images. For example, these, as I think you mentioned before, Andy, these could be basically replaced with almost any images, and it wouldn't affect like the meaning of the content. So that's like why they could be considered as decorative images, which doesn't need any alt text. While this might be an image that provides more meaning to the context, where we want to have like a short alt text, maybe describing the building. Yeah, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a tricky question, this with the images, because I looked at yours at Norlandia preschools, and some images is hard to decide whether it's meaningful or decorative, because you have some images showing maybe children playing, and that can be meaningful to write an alt text. So it's tricky, but we can help you to decide. Yes. Do you have any more questions?
I don't have a question, but I just want to comment the last one that you showed, because that's exactly how I would have interpreted it now. That's exactly like I would say like 95% of the pictures that we have are decorative, and then I would also have picked exactly like the building pictures as like something that's important. So I'm just very happy that you did to confirm what I thought.
That's good.
But then we probably have to go through, or I have to go through all the sites and just decide, like on a case by case evaluation, how to do it.
Yes.
Carl?
I wanted to mention, Andy, I think that your description was great about the about being able to exchange the images. If you can exchange them, it's probably not giving that much to the person that's reading this kind of a page, I think. And then I wanted to say that or ask about the information that you'll be sending out. When will it be coming, and in what form will it be? You mentioned that it would be coming maybe soon now after the meeting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if, I would say that we will send it in the coming days or before the end of the week. Yeah.
And it will go to each page, or which form will we get it in?
Well, I mean, we will send information regarding the pages that we used in the audit to begin with. So that will be the focus, and that's where we will start. And probably later on, we need to follow up with other pages as well and other sites. But we will start with the one that was audited, because that's where we know what needs to be done. And the principles generally should be similar anyway. But of course, there might be some domain or country-specific information that needs to be handled separately. Lots of people with hands. Andy?
Yeah, sorry, talking a lot here. I just have a question about the timeline, because you showed on the slide that like the second directive, like the right one, was effective or was to be implemented like 26th of June or something. But then you said that's not the one that is actually applicable to us. So do we in this meeting have like a fixed deadline where everything needs to be done? Or is it just like do it as you go when you have time? Like all text for the pictures, I mean, specifically, like when should we do that? Should that be done like in June, or is it just like whenever?
You're on mute, Emma.
It should already have been done since you are complying with the law for the public sector. So yeah, but it's I would say like it's a small thing too, and it's I've been on other authorities where the law was where the authorities checked the website and the alt. We differed. We thought that the images should have the alt text, as you said, Jessica. Like we had the images and described the image, but they said that was wrong. So it's hard with images. I guess we could have one judgment and they would have another. But it's a small thing to fix, so it wouldn't be a big problem if the authorities would check your website.
And also, if they would check your website, it's not like you will get a fine or something immediately, and then you will get like a warning. You have to fix these issues, and then you will get a period of time to fix them.
Yeah.
So it won't be like a really big problem.
No.
To start with. I think Emma, you have to go.
Yeah, I have to go to another meeting, so I will leave now. But you will stay, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. The rest of us will stay.
Yeah. Thank you for today, and
yeah, thanks, Emma, and we'll follow up. Bye. We have some more hands. Jessica?
I was just wondering about the widgets that we start using on the website, for example, the Google widget and the social media and the translation widget for the entire page and so on. Also, we have for contact information in Aberia, and are those okay? Like we can use them without any problem?
Yeah, so that is a very good question. So there is some external content that's used. For example, Google reviews come from the Elf site widget as well, right?
They
and
all
so
come
on.
from Elf site, yeah.
They all come from Elf site, yes. And from what I have tested using the dev tools that Emma mentioned previously in the slides, some of them have some sort of, warnings, or it's not like errors, but some of them say that, yeah, the contrast is maybe not perfect or so on. But generally speaking, that content comes from the third-party solution. We don't really control that. As far as I'm aware, you can use them, and I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that. But it can be possible, that during the audit we uncover things that are related to the content that's coming from a third-party solution, where we need to, we can tell you that, hey, here is a slight issue because the contrast is not exactly right. Can you
that we can fix, because you can set everything
Yeah.
yourself, like colors and so on. So
Exactly. So you can fix that. So it's like we can't fix it because we don't control that, and it's more like
No.
content. But of course, we can tell you that, yeah, so here is where something isn't exactly right, and you can go in and fix that. But I don't see anything necessarily wrong with using those widgets, and in my opinion, they can be used, and as long as they are compliant, why not?
Perfect. Maybe because we had a meeting last week and not everyone was there, but if you don't know what the translation widget is, maybe I can just show for really quick for the others. But we now have on the Swedish sites, we have a translation widget, which translates with the Google AI, and it's very easy to set up. It takes like 5 minutes, and then Janice, you have to fix something on your end, but you have to email him. But here you can translate everything on the website, and you can choose from all the languages in the world, and we have just added, and with one click, for example, the entire site in just seconds turn into other languages, and it stays like this if you click on other sites. And so if anyone wants more information, you can reach out to either Andy, me, or Julia, who has been working with it.
Yeah, and but maybe can you just scroll down and show us the issue that you brought up before? Because I already got back to you by email that I couldn't reproduce the issue with the transparent header.
Yeah, you see here now it's back, because before it wasn't. It stayed like this all the time, but now when we scroll here, it comes the.
Yeah, and I have checked the same page on Edge, and I don't see the issue, so I'm just afraid that it might be cached or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have that either. I'm on the page right now. I cannot reproduce it.
Okay, maybe it's my computer then, but yeah.
Because if you clear the cache, you can check that, because I went over all the Frasunda pages, personal assistants and others, and I couldn't reproduce it anymore on Edge, so I was just. Yeah, because we have fixed it. It's just yeah, I think it's something cache related probably.
Yeah, but yeah, reach out if you want it. It's in the Elf site app subscription, so it comes with the subscription of the other widgets that some of us are using.
Andy?
Yeah, just one final question about the accessibility statement that you mentioned, and you said that you could help us doing that, like setting it up, like takes 5 seconds for both me and Jessica. That's not the issue, but like what kind of text should be in there. So that would be appreciated if you could just like come with input what should be in there, so that we don't write something that's wrong. And then another thing, I talked to Dennis about it like 2 weeks ago, and he mentioned it by himself, and he just said that's actually also a good thing for SEO for some reason, like it helps with SEO. And he mentioned that he highly recommends actually adding a mail address that's like, I don't know, accessibility@frasunda.se or something. And then just like tell, like, if you have input on, like, if something doesn't work according to your view on our page, then just mail this address. And he said, like, from his point of view as an SEO person, that would be very strongly recommended. So that's just something for everybody else in the meeting as an input. So I guess we will do that here for preschools.
Yeah, we have the functionality to report a technical issue, which as far as I know is still live. So one way would be to direct them to there. Just have a link to that page, and then if you notice anything that you think is not, good in terms of accessibility, you can submit a report. So there's a technical issue, so we can rename that page. So technical or accessibility issues or something. But yeah, it can be solved in different ways. It's also up to you. But of course, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. No problem.
But can we just make that like a to-do on your end, Yannis, or
Yeah. To help you with the text, that's already on our to-do, absolutely. So we will follow up on what you need to change in the content and on the accessibility statement or the wording for it, because as Emma said, there is some sort of fixed, not suggested, but that wording that needs to be exactly like that. And then there's some free text where we can explain that we are working on accessibility and blah 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 based on the audit. So basically Emma can put it together for us, probably with Rebecca, and we can share that with you.
Perfect. And can you also show us where this site should be on the platform, if it should be on the top or in the menu, or?
I don't think that it will be in the menu, but it might be on the footer maybe. But we will come up with a suggestion on where we think it could be placed.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be on the main menu at the top of the page, but likely somewhere, just cookies, terms of use, and so on. Yes, and this basically concludes the meeting. I think we did a lot of that. We had a very productive discussion. We made a lot of progress. I hope that you feel more at ease as to what needs to be done, and that you don't need to describe thousands of pictures now. So the immediate to-dos on our side is to deploy the current changes so that you can start describing the images that you think are meaningful rather than decorative. And then the to-do on our side is to email the content changes or suggestions on where you should change content and the accessibility statement. And then, you will be able to review that and publish that on the site. And of course, we will continue to work on the other points from the audit, because there are some points left that need to be done. Not critical ones, but some more code needs to be tweaked here and there. And then eventually we will need to do or we strongly suggest a re-audit or repeated audit on the sites after all the changes, because there's been quite a lot of change since 2024 when the audit was done. And I'm also aware that we're running out of time. So the recording will be, I will share it with you, Carl, later on, and I know that you have a way of distributing it to everybody. But anyway, I will share that. So yes, thanks for now. And right, and Jessica, if you can email those videos and so on, then that would be helpful, because we can then look into that to see if they are accessible or not and provide some recommendations. So that's it for today. We'll decide if we need a follow-up or how to proceed further, but I think we're making great progress, and yeah. All right, I'll stop the recording and take care.
Thank you so much, Yannis.
Thanks now.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.